Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Devil's Digest postgame show following Arizona State's 31-28 victory over Texas State. My name is Justin Lastratosa. Alongside myself, as always, is publisher Hode Rubino. And Hode, we've talked about how big this non-conference slate is for ASU and got their first 3-0 start in the non-con since 2019. That year, ASU went on to go 8-5 in that season, one of the better teams in recent memory. And last week, ASU faced some adversity against Mississippi State in that second half. You could argue they faced more adversity in this game, first time trailing throughout the entire season, a big test of character once again.
Yeah, and the 3 wins that ASU has to date obviously matches their season total from last year. And I think when you and I talked in the preseason when I said that a 6-6 record was possible, that's the reason because I did see the first 3-4 games of the year being winnable games. I didn't think anything was going to be a cakewalk, and like you said, only the game against Wyoming was a cakewalk against Mississippi State. Cakewalk for one half, second half, definitely some white knuckle moments. And this game tonight, man, it was just like a heavyweight bout. Texas State obviously were landing a lot of punches early on in the first half. I thought that for the last 5-6 minutes of the second half, ASU came back and came back in a very, very impressive, fashion. And once again, this is a test of character for the Sun Devils, a test that they're really passing, with flying colors. And I know there's some apprehension going into this road game, first road game of the year, a very formidable opponent, definitely one of the better teams out there in the Group 5. You talk about doing this in a 5-day turnaround, which I think even if you had a game at home after 5 days, that's still somewhat of a challenge. But now when you have a not so short road trip to Texas, that's something that also falls under adversity. But, if you guys recall, Justin and I talked about in our preview that when you talk about the team chemistry and how much these players get along with each other. And I know some people may roll their eyes when they hear it, one of the worst football cliches out there and everything. But you don't win games like this on the road, again, facing so much adversity, if your team was not connected, if your team did not have total buy-in to a culture, and a culture that really is proven to be effective now really for the second week in a row. So I think if you're an ASU fan, there really is a lot to be proud about. There may be some people out there that might snicker of just winning by 3 points on the road against a Group 5 team. But for Arizona State, this win was just another step, and I wouldn't even call it a baby step. It was a significant step in the right direction. There were a lot of things stacked against them with some significant injuries on the defensive line. You saw a betting line, if for those that bet it out there, that saw ASU as a 1-point favorite, I would say about 3-4 hours before the game. And within an hour or two, that line swung so sharply that ASU entered the contest as a 2.5 point underdog. That's something, again, that you probably didn't expect to happen. But I think what the fine folks in Vegas don't realize, aside from talent, you need to have heart, you need to have character. The Sun Devils display that in spades on Thursday night.
Yeah, and coming into this game, a lot of fans and media sort of questioned the passing game. But obviously, against Mississippi State, it was the Cam Scadaboo show, and he still lived up to those expectations despite Texas State sort of stacking the box in a way and being prepared for ASU to sort of try and win the game on the ground. But that passing game, talk about Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, really on full display. What did you see holistically from this offense and its balance against Texas State?
We talked in the preview about a Texas State defense that sure didn't face any running game today that was anywhere close in caliber to that of Arizona State, but nonetheless, they did show that they do have very good abilities to stop the run. So ASU really needed to have the passing game going for them. And like you said, there really is a lot of criticism of Sam Levitt about the coaches, how they handled the passing game against Mississippi State last week. And I think Sam Levitt really silenced a lot of critics tonight. 19 out of 30 for 246 yards, 1 touchdown. Also had a rushing touchdown. Now 3 in the last 2 games. Did have the interception in the second half, but was not costly at all. But I thought more than anything that he really was cool, calm, and collected. And Sam Levitt talked after the game about that is the demeanor that the coaches do expect him to exhibit on the field, and that's what he did. Kenny Dillingham, ASU's head coach, talked about Sam Levitt after one of his runs receiving a big hit, and he just pops back up like nothing happens. And that just is just a huge boost of confidence, boost of energy for his teammates to see their quarterback, to see their leader absolutely be unfazed about what took place, because there was adversity on offense. I mean, it definitely took time for this offense to get things going. I mean, yes, they scored on the second drive of the game, but after that, I'm sorry, they did score on the opening drive of their game, the third time in a row that they did it actually this year. But after that, they really stalled, and to see Sam Levitt connect with Jordan Tyson, the star wide receiver, 6 receptions, 120 yards, and obviously that huge 52-yard touchdown down the field. And I think maybe one player that is maybe somewhat being under the radar in terms of how effective it was in the passing game, tight end Shaman Mateer, 5 receptions, 57 yards. And Kenny Dillingham, talked about a defense for Texas State that really allows you to hit those seams and hitting routes that are usually popular with tight ends, if you will. So I think that the game planning was great on offense. Running game, like we said, it was a total different story. I don't think the run blocking was anywhere nearly as effective as it was against Mississippi State. Cam Skattebo had to labor hard for each and every yard that he got. Ironically, last week he has 262 rushing yards, doesn't even score a touchdown. Tonight, a very economical 62 yards, only averaging 2.6 yards a carry, but scores 2 touchdowns. And much like last week, Justin, when you need Cam Skattebo to deliver in the fourth quarter to move those chains, he does it time and time again. So this was not a clean game from the offense from start to finish, and definitely the running game had more struggles than it had successes. But ultimately, they score 3 touchdowns on the ground. Cam Skattebo comes up big again in the fourth quarter in a game that obviously was extremely tight. So you really have to give credit for this offense that really executed a total different script, if you will, compared to last week. And the bottom line is they still come away with a victory.
Yeah, now shifting to defense too, no Jacob Kingaika, no Zach Swanson, no LT Welch, some injuries on that area of the field for ASU, but defense really showed up and showed out when it mattered most, especially down the stretch of games. Kenny Dillingham sort of talked about closing out games when it matters most, and the defense definitely did that.
Yeah, I mean, let's not mince words, Justin. It was a horrible, horrible first half for the defense. Texas State scores 3 touchdowns. It really seemed that they had a very balanced attack on the ground, in the air. They were punishing ASU and punishing them hard. I thought there were major issues in coverage. The players in the secondary were not jamming the wide receivers nearly hard enough, giving them large cushions. And these are wide receivers and a quarterback, a very talented one, in Jordan McLeod, that could definitely make you pay if your coverage is going to be not that tight. But give credit to Brian Ward, the defensive coordinator, and his coaching staff. Great adjustments in the second half. The Bobcats only scored 7 points, and that 7 points came somewhere midway through the third quarter, and then they shut them out after that. And once again, this opportunistic, aggressive defense for the Sun Devils comes up big. Xavier Alford, who again one player who struggled a lot in the first half, comes away with interception in the fourth quarter. Another drive in the fourth quarter, Cyrus Fiaseo causes a fumble. Justin Whitley recovers. So this defense was really able to frustrate the home team quite a bit. It's kind of funny that in some ways it's maybe a carbon copy of the Mississippi State game, where for one half the defense displays phenomenally. Second half really caused a lot of anxiety, both with coaches and fans. And but again, give credit when credit is due. The halftime adjustments, which I know sometimes coaches think that much too much is being done or spoken about that. But I think that the adjustments that took place in the second half were absolutely masterful, and this defense really delivered the win. For the Sun Devils, it really wasn't an explosive offensive game for ASU. They only scored 10 points in the second half. So when you score only 10 points in the second half and still be able to come away with the victory, that is definitely a win where the defense has a huge hand in it. And just like last week, where they set the tone in the first half, tonight in San Marcos, they really set the tone for the second half and really secure a precious non-conference win for ASU.
Yeah, it may have been a little messy at some points, but nonetheless, ASU responds when it matters most. But they should, get a little bit used to staying in the Lone Star State, staying in Texas, because now Big 12 play on the horizon, starting with Texas Tech, the program's first game in the Big 12 conference. And Hode, obviously, that Texas to Tempe connection is huge, and 22 active scholarship players from Texas on this roster. But Texas Tech, excuse me, a team that has underperformed in some ways this season. What do you expect to see out of ASU's first conference matchup?
Yeah, first of all, you talk about the importance of winning in Texas and going back to that state next week. I think that one reason why Kenny Dillingham was agreeable to have this really quick turnaround in a game in Texas is, to no one's surprise, Kenny Dillingham said after the game that he and many of the coaches on his staff are staying in the Lone Star State. They are going to check out whether it's commits or maybe prospects, some of them in the 25 class, but most of them in the 26 class. So this really is a great opportunity now to show up for a given high school game in Texas after a win against Texas State. And now you have like a little swag in your step when you do meet with those prospects in the state of Texas. So that is something that definitely paid dividends quite nicely for ASU on the recruiting front. For ASU, it's really just get healthy, get healthy, get healthy. I mean, like you mentioned, there's some key players, that were missing. It looks like all the players that got dinged up today were able to still return to the game. But you wonder once the adrenaline subsides and you go into the treatment room on Friday, what those injuries are really going to look like. But for ASU, you really want to get as much rest as possible. Really get your bodies ready. And that's definitely a huge advantage when you win a game and a 5-game turnaround. That now you have those extra days to prepare for a Texas Tech team, which, like I said, Justin, really has not been overwhelming by any means. Lost pretty decisively on the road to Washington State last week, and at home against Albine Christian, barely squeaked out that game. This doesn't mean that's going to be a walk in the park just because ASU is right now 3-0, and who knows if Texas Tech on Saturday, playing their opponent can look like a total different team and a team that is much more capable than they've shown the first 2 weeks. But I think for ASU to come in with all this momentum and all this confidence and really marking a huge V again when it comes to finishing the non-conference slate undefeated, that is something that is really worth its weight in gold. So I think that for ASU, it's really just to stay the course, really get healthy as much as possible. Maybe you can get some of those players back that missed quite a bit of time and really haven't played this year, like defensive end Prince Dorba or offensive lineman Sean Na, and maybe even a running back like Raleek Brown, who saw his first action of the season tonight. I'm not saying that he looked rusty, but in my opinion, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to look even better when he plays the second game of the year. When you look at a game, and you look at a player like Cam Scadaboo, he's never going to admit it, Justin, but I'm sure that fatigue did hit him at some point in the game. Although the way he played in the fourth quarter, he really could have fooled a lot of us. But I think that for a team that's looking for confidence, it's really looking for validation for everything that they did in the offseason in terms of talent acquisition and really ingraining the culture and the players, to have this win tonight to start the season for 3-0. that is exactly the type of boost that this team needs. So I think that if you're an ASU fan, you have to be really, really proud of what you've seen from this team. I think after what coaches have seen after these 3 weeks, they know this team is better than it was last year. Time will tell how much better they can be, but definitely talent wise, that they have shown that the 2024 version of the Sun Devils is really night and day than what we saw last season, and that's really just the natural evolution of a program. Sometimes you have to take a lot of frustrating blows and really encounter a very sharp learning curve. But when you see the success that ASU is having to date, it really is all worth it.
Well, ASU improves to 3-0 on the season and looks to keep their imprint on the Lone Star State as they head up to Lubbock to face Texas Tech. The scene's only getting bigger as Big 12 play is right on the horizon. As always, my name is Justin Lester Tosa. Alongside myself is publisher Hood Rubino. As they say, locked in on everything Sun Devil football related, go to DevilsDigest.com. Follow Devils Digest on Twitter at Devils Digest. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.